Welcome to the Fairytale. The storybook begins today. Day one of Fairytale February coverage. We got a massive 5-pack of games. I call it the Fantastic Five with 2 non-streams on the side. Let's begin at 10 a.m. The man of the hour in the chat, Luke, will be coming up on stage with a live interview. We got Cap giving his thoughts as well about why he's playing Luke. What is he looking forward to in this season? Then the next game will be Cody Lamas versus Allen, who will be the ref of this upcoming game. That will begin our non-stream coverage in the night region at 1 o'clock. We got back right at the night region, this time with the stream game. Everyone's really anticipating this D2 champion coming in, Pikachu. What can he do against Yoshi? Iconic Nintendo characters right there. Apology, I should say 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 7:30, excuse me, not 8 o'clock. Wizard region, Yepes versus Shenna ends our non-stream coverage in the Wizard region. And then we go back to the night region, because you can't spell night without KT. But this time we're talking LE. Lara Ellison. Looking forward to that one at 9 o'clock. And then a little D1 live post game with Not Short coming up at somewhere between 10:30, 11. We'll see how fast that goes and see how frantic that goes. We'll go over to our match, and our match is basically going to be Cap and Luke. This is the preview. Captain, of course, coming off an interesting season where he won 0 games in non-major tournaments. He won 6 games in the majors. That's T1 and 5, but there's no more major in T5 anymore. It's a regular tournament. Luke coming off a great season. You're defending tournament winner down there in the February flurry. Of course, there'll be a new champion this year. Cap going for the 4-2 according to the CPU. Cap, of course, the last time, ironically, picked a theme, he was the last tournament winner. So I'm going to keep in mind moving forward. We'll go to the screen capture and appreciate that for the chat here for telling me I wasn't live. Well, it's going to be an interesting day. We're gonna talk about the slate of games right here. But we got Luke coming up, and before we even get to that slate of the game, I want to bring this man up because he's going to have some thoughts about it. It's our main 10 a.m. early riser game. Luke, feel free to come up, buddy, and we're going to start talking about. My man, you're playing the Low Tide Master. Cap is one of the best at the Low Tide. We talked about this at the reveal show, how you got to be dynamic and try not to stay static, especially playing Cap, who has the adaptability. What did you learn from the past experiences playing in other leagues, maybe on the mindset? Because we know this bot is completely different. We know D1 is 64 out of 64 different play styles. But what can you learn on the mindset in the Cap? How do you try to encapsulate the moment when inevitably he's going to pick a start at 5 to 7 or 8 cards? Talk me through it.
Good card start if you want to get a good start. But 90% of the time, you're probably not going to get that. So after you get the initial start hand given to you, there's 2 ways you can go about it. You either play what you have, play 1 or 2 cards, see what your opponent has to play, or you can go straight to draw city, try and get ammo to help you, and yeah. That's probably gonna be a main example going into the match. Expect a lot of draw cities, whether it's myself forcing it, Cap forcing it. It's got to be a very draw city style match.
Draw city. Now, we talk about this with the 5-card start, especially. You have 2 options with the draw city. Do you change the plan, maybe aggressive? Do you try to go maybe a mid-tier? You don't want to always go too high because then you kickstart potentially his core on getting a steal win. How do you try to take advantage too of being on the road? Because he's got all the pressure. You're just a rookie coming into this. Does that give you a little bit of an advantage?
Yeah, obviously you want to see how the first 2 games pan out. Obviously you would expect Cap to go low the first 2 games, so you see how those 2 games go. If luck's going your way, cool, you might want to stay with it. If not, you might want to up the card start, so you got more chance of getting ammo. Obviously, that's not a guarantee with this bot, but it gives you an opportunity nevertheless. But at the same time, it also gives your opponent the same option of more ammo on a higher card start.
Absolutely, Luke. And I think that's going to be the key, right? You just mentioned a really important thing. I think the fact of the matter is with this bot, we might. Oh, okay, I got you. No problem, Jay. You guys can hear me. You Anybody watching YouTube, you guys got me right. Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, no worries, Jay. No worries, Jay. I thought you wanted to come up. We'll talk about Jay in a second. But I want to give Cap's thoughts. Want to shout out Alan. He suggested something in Lounge last night. I thought that was a good idea. Media is going to be on this for next round. I asked Cap what his thoughts on playing Luke. He said Luke's a damn good player. We played a lot in other leagues, and I believe our head-to-head is pretty even. I expect a close one. So the respect is there, Luke. Last thing I'll ask you before we get to today's slate. What's your thoughts on this being the opening match? I don't think we've ever had an opening match in the league ever, at least in D1. That's a 4-on-4 in crime, Europe on Europe. I don't think we've ever had that. So your thoughts being the opening match to kick off the season. We saw last year we had a good one with Peter Aria. Now you're going to continue the tradition of opening game. What do we got?
Yeah, obviously it puts more pressure onto myself going into the match, being the opening game of the season as a rookie, especially on stream as well. You just gotta take it as it goes, really. Of course, I've got the luxury of going through winning T1 in D2 last year, which will help with nerfs. And yeah, it'll be a very interesting match, to say the least.
Absolutely, my friend. I want to appreciate Luke and Kat for giving their thoughts. I have Luke up here on stage. We're going to go through the preview of the slate of the games today. We got a massive day on hand. We're talking about 5 great games, a lot of league veterans. In D1, I always say the brands are out to come to play. We got some brand names. So, Luke, your thoughts on this next match, man, after we get to your match, finish it up. Lamas Allen, obviously, you look at Lamas, almost took care of business last year to make Super League, was just a little bit a tick off. And then you got Allen here, who seems to always play the hardest people. What do you think? What are we looking forward to in that one from a player's perspective? You've seen Lamas and Allen. You've seen so many of these games. What are you looking forward to that one?
Yeah, really, it'd be mostly about how can Allen bounce back from last season. Obviously, getting lane it isn't an easy draw, to say the least. But you're gonna get these times where you're just constantly handed hard opponent after hard opponent. It'd be interesting to see how he counteracts that going into this new season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Lamas, of course, one of those guys trying to bounce back after a nice 5-win season, but he's always had problems in the back end, right? He has never been able to take care of business in the back end with those quad 3 and 4 players, but he shows up for quad 1 and 2. Something to keep in mind. Then, Luke, we got the big one that everybody's looking forward to. This is probably the most upset heavy. I don't have the pick'em numbers, but this is probably the most upset heavy game that a lot of people are looking at an upset. Defending D2 champion, the Pikachu coming in. Your thoughts on what possibly could happen with this one? Because Yoshi's going to be ready. He knows, he understands the play style of Pikachu from D2. But what do you think is going to be the keys to that game?
Yeah, yeah, this match can go either way, really. Of course, you got Yoshi who helps out D2. He knows D promoters like the back of his hand. Compared to Pikachu, where he's covered off the back of win the D2 chip. He's played in the Promoters Cup, so he's ready in terms of playing. It'd be interesting to see how he adapts to playing someone who's a top level tier D1 player compared to D2 players.
That will be the key. Yoshi, of course, a mainstay in this league. Pikachu basically trying to take that blood in the water. We'll see how that one goes. Yepez, your thoughts on Jenna? We'll just let Yepez say his thought. He says Lamas doesn't beat the Q3s and 4s, and of course Allen doesn't win against the Q1 2. Caesar, if you have any thoughts, feel free. I'm going to read the chat as well. See what you guys think. But we'll see what Yepez thinks live. Luke, that will be interesting. Not gonna lie, thought Jenna wasn't gonna show up, but I can't actually showed up. She's been a force everyone did. I'm gonna go against. Yeah, listen, I think that one has a lot of potential because if Yepez, he's known for those game 7 moments. Sometimes he's known for the first round always having to get a little bit of that, engine up the temperature, as they say. Once that engine's up the temperature, he can run. And Yepez is one of those players that's looking to get back to the league, the old Super League that he's missed out twice. And he's talked about it in lounge. He's talked about it in the past. It's either I win or I'm not in. So we'll see if he wins or wins today and moves on to that second round. Then Luke, the last one, interesting one. I forgot to mention Yoshi looking for 100 career wins in D1. This one's interesting. Lara will probably get the 24-hour club. Lara just needs 10 minutes to get that 24-hour club. Thoughts on him playing Ellison? You saw Ellison in the Promoters Cup, that and Caesar as well. That was not a good impression from Ellison. He's trying to bounce back. What does he got to do against Lara, who's been one of those players as Joao joins us, knows how to play the consistency game and knows how to play the calculations? Do you think that could trip up Ellison? Give me your thoughts on that real quick.
Yeah, obviously Ellison needs to find some form of consistency to get stuff going. Obviously, didn't perform the greatest during the Promoters Cup, and being in a hard match, going to T1, you gotta change up something. Otherwise, you're just facing defeat before the match has even begun.
Yeah, man, that's the thing we talk about all the time with this league. There's always going to be, I call it an inflection point. There's always going to be an inflection point where you think you have everything to support. Oh, hold on, what somebody says here. I believe in you, Luke. Although if you and I, when we put a little fun, friendly comment that we talked about, that's really a European pod. 3 out of the 4 players from Europe. That's a interesting, interesting pod to say the least. Now, I'll go back to you real quick, Luke. As well, I'm going to put some graphics on here. Jay, your thoughts on any of these matches? Go ahead. Just thoughts on Lara Ellison. I think today, the ones to watch, you got to look at a couple people. I think the first one is Cap, right? Naturally, he's a brand name. That's a legend. You bring a legend to the table, you know he's going to bring some legendary energy. We'll see how he does. But I think the one game I'm circling, or 2 games I'm circling, I think the Lamas Allen game has potential because Yepes is right. If Lamas is really good in quad 1 and 2, and Allen's more of that guy that can show up at the back, right, the quad 3 and 4, someone's got to get. It's a great storyline. And then I think the other game, you got to just naturally think Yoshi Pikachu. It reminds me of a passing of the torch kind of game. If Pikachu wins this game, you start to wonder, okay, are these rookies really going to make us? We saw 2024. Yes, we saw those rookies. They went off, right? But again, that was the first year after the era where we had to replace a billion people and a lot of questions remain. I think those statements could be key. Give me 2 things to watch, Luke. If I'm just going to give you 2 samples, and what do you think this means? If Allen or Pikachu pull the upset, what does it mean for today? That's the first statement. Then we'll do the opposite. Go for it. What's your thought? What does that send a message to the league if those 2 pull the upset today on those ones to watch games?
If Allen and Pikachu win today, you're probably going to be in the mindset it's going to be a very heavy, upset heavy first round after today.
Pretty simple. And then if Lamas and Yoshi win, that's more the old guard. What does that say about the established guard in the league? What your thoughts? Go ahead.
Be more about how consistent are you and how you've done from the end of last season to the start of new season. Have you still got what you left last season going into this season? Off on a good start.
Appreciate that, Luke. I'm going to put over the pods right now. And there's the pod. KT, Monaco, Sting, Brock, Lamas, Allen, Lane versus Goldie. That's going to be the one pod. I'm not going to show the Luke pod because we're going to get on stream real quick here with Seth Cole. And then, of course, the other game, Lara Ellison, will be tonight. But there's a pod right there I wanted to show you guys kind of how the show is going to work. Luke, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to say some final words and then wrap this puppy up. Kept it about 20 minutes. Well, everybody, it's that time of the year. It's the opening. Yes, all but 3 matches are scheduled. Correct. Appreciate that. I want to thank the crew for really putting in the work on that. It was a really new process we tried, and it was very good. Thank you to the crew. But regardless, appreciate everybody for coming out. This is the opening day of the season. It's always fun. It's always electric. It's always fresh. And when it's fresh like that, anything can happen. Anything can go. So do appreciate everyone for coming out, making this a really interactive experience. We'll have more of this, of course, Luke coming up one last time, one last look at that great schedule we got here. Luke and Cap coming up at 10 o'clock here in roughly 12 minutes. Then, the game that a lot of people are wondering what's got to give, as Yepes said, is it the quad 1 and 2, or is it the quad 3 and 4 that wins out? There's no quads in T1, though. What will happen with Lamas Allen Then the old guard versus the new guard. The passing of the torch, we'll find out later. Yoshi Pikachu at 2. Double down that. Carry the 1, make it a 7:30. Yepes Jenna, a former world champ, against one of the hottest prospects coming in last season. Cooled off this year. What will happen in 2026? Or last year. We'll see what happened in 2026. She can heat up. And then finally, we'll mint a new member to a 24-hour club. Looking forward to that, most likely, unless we get something silly. Lara versus Ellison. Looking forward to having Lara get his 24-hour club reference and make that appearance. And, of course, can James Ellison bounce back from what was a torrid Promoters Cup and a rough last couple of years? We'll see if he's got some spark and some fire. For myself, Luke, telling the Lavina, Taco, Yepes, Red, Dwell, Caesar, AICOVT over there. Appreciate you guys coming here at 9:30 in the morning on the East Coast, wherever you are in the world, or the next day, or tomorrow, wherever. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you roughly in about 10 minutes. Seth Cole going to anchor the coverage at 10 o'clock. Peace out. We'll see you in 10. This has been a presentation of MRE Uno Division 1.